It was a rainy Thursday evening in Los Angeles, the kind of night where dreams felt heavier than the clouds. The audition hall was buzzing with hopeful faces, all chasing the same fragile light, a chance. Among them sat a thin, quiet boy with worn-out sneakers and trembling hands. His name was Ethan Rivera, 16 years old, eyes too deep for his age, and a guitar case that looked older than him. He sat alone in a corner, gently polishing the strings of his guitar, whispering something under his breath, maybe a prayer, maybe a memory. His ticket number read number 1047, but to him, it felt more like a test than a number. A kind-looking janitor walked by and asked, "First time auditioning, kid?" Ethan smiled weakly. "Yeah. My mom always wanted me to. She said I had to sing this song for her someday." The janitor noticed his hands shaking, and patted his shoulder. "Then you sing it for her tonight, son. Don't think about the crowd. Just sing it for her." Ethan nodded, but deep inside, his heart was breaking. His mother, Maria Rivera, had passed away 3 months earlier. She was the reason he picked up the guitar in the first place. She used to play Hotel California for him when he couldn't sleep, saying the lyrics had mystery, but the melody had peace. When she got sick, Ethan used to sing it back to her in the hospital room. Her favorite line was always, "You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave." She said it's reminded her that love never truly leaves. Now, standing in the audition line, that song was all he had left of her. When his number was called, Ethan stepped onto the stage. The bright lights nearly blinded him. The crowd was massive, the judges intimidating, and for a moment, he felt like running away. One of the judges, Simon, leaned forward. "Hey there, what's your name?" "Ethan Rivera, sir." "And what will you be performing today?" "Hotel California, by the Eagles." A few in the audience chuckled softly. A young boy singing a classic rock song. It didn't seem like it would work. Simon smiled politely. "All right, Ethan. Let's hear it." Ethan took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and strummed the first chord. The hall went silent. The guitar's sound was raw, pure, almost haunting. And when his voice followed, low, shaky, yet filled with emotion, something shifted in the air. "On the dark desert highway, cool wind in my hair." The words came out like a whisper to the heavens. His voice cracked once, but he didn't stop. He sang each line, as if he were telling his mother goodbye all over again. As the song built, Ethan's voice grew stronger, pain blending with beauty, less turning into love. His fingers danced across the strings, and the melody filled every corner of the room. When he reached the final verse, "You can check out any time you like, but you can never leave," his voice broke completely. A tear slid down his cheek. He didn't even try to hide it. The crowd held its breath. No one moved. Then came silence, and in that silence, something incredible happened. Simon stood up. Slowly. His expression unreadable. Then he slammed his hand down on the golden buzzer. The explosion of golden confetti filled the stage as the audience erupted in cheers and tears. Ethan stood frozen, his hands covering his mouth. He couldn't believe it. The other judges rushed up to him, hugging him, congratulating him, but all Ethan could do was look up at the ceiling, whispering softly, "We did it, Mom." Backstage, after the show, a producer handed him a tissue and asked how he felt. Ethan smiled through his tears. "I didn't come here to win. I just wanted to sing her song one more time. I think she heard me." Simon approached him quietly and said, "Ethan, that was one of the most emotional performances I've ever witnessed. You didn't just sing that song, you lived it." Ethan nodded, his eyes still shining. "It's all I have of her." Simon paused, then pulled something out of his pocket, a small silver guitar pick. "This was given to me by a musician I admired years ago. I think you should have it. To remind you that music isn't about fame, it's about heart." Ethan stared at it, speechless. The kindness in that gesture broke something open inside him. Months later, Ethan returned for the finals. He didn't have fancy clothes or backup dancers, just his guitar and that same trembling heart. But this time, he wasn't singing alone. He said, "This one's for everyone who's ever lost someone, but kept singing anyway." When he played, the entire audience lit up their phone lights, thousands of tiny stars swaying to his song. It wasn't Hotel California this time. It was an original piece he'd written, titled Mom's Melody. By the end, the judges were on their feet, the crowd chanting his name. Ethan didn't win the competition that night. But when he stepped off the stage, he found something better. A producer offered him a record deal, and a letter was handed to him from a woman in the audience. It read, "My son passed away last year, and tonight, your song made me feel like I heard his voice again. Thank you for giving me that." Ethan folded the letter, held it to his heart, and whispered, "That's all I ever wanted." Years later, Ethan Rivera became one of the most beloved singers in America, not because of fame or fortune, but because every song he sang came from a place of truth, and every time he played Hotel California on stage, he'd look up, smile softly, and say, "This one's for you, Mom." As the lights dimmed and the audience waited in silence, he'd strum the final chord, the same one that started it all, proving that love never leaves.